So now that we have the tree topper done, we're ready to move on to ribbon. When you're deciding on ribbon for your tree, you want to have at least 2. 3 a lot of times is better if you have a bigger tree, but definitely at least 2 that coordinate. You want like a solid that's going to be in the back, and then you want the pattern that's going to be more of like the showcase ribbon, and they're going to layer like this. Have your background one be at least 4 inches wide. You can have them both be 4 inches, and that works great. Unless you're talking about a really small tree, then you're going to maybe not want to go 4 inches, but definitely a 4-inch back. And then this one's 2.5, which is going to look really nice. So as I do this, I'm going to be working with both layers of ribbon at the same time. We're going to take this ribbon, it's got a funky edge because I use this to make the bow, and we're just going to kind of pinch it together so that it's just, and I'm going to start about right here, and I'm going to take it down, and then I'm going to bring it zigzag this way, and then I'm probably going to take it one more time, and then I'm going to cut it and give it a tail. So we're just going to kind of zigzag all the way down, and we're going to cut it as we go along. Okay. So I just want to tuck this in back here where you can't really see it. I'm going to use the pine branches to twist around the ribbon. And then I'm just going to kind of use the branch to kind of tuck it back in there so you can't see like where it actually starts. Okay. So now I'm going to take both the ribbons together to about right here. What's this? Probably a good 10 inches or so. You can make this as big or as short as you want. I like it to have a nice fold to it. Nice little curve. I don't know what you call that. And then we just take a couple branches and do a little twist. Boom, done. And then you can just kind of fluff it to sit right, and that's it. And then now we're gonna go this way. So again, about another 10 inches or so. I'm not uber precise about this. I just want enough to be able to shape it the way I want. Okay, so just like right here, I'll take these 2 branches and boom, like that. And then, now you'll notice that I've got this big spot here. Don't worry about that. I have lots of things to fill in, so we're not too concerned about that. Now I think I'm just gonna go like straight down this time. So now you kind of have to decide how long you want your tails. These tails up here are a little bit on the longer side. I did that because I wasn't totally sure just how long I wanted my tails to be. But for the tree itself, I don't really want them to be long. I'm gonna keep them fairly short. So figure, I don't know, probably a good 6 inches, maybe a little less. You're gonna fold your ribbon in half, okay? And then you're gonna cut downwards at an angle, and this is gonna create a dovetail. Oh, there we go. Just kind of fan that out. And that's it. So that is your first section. We started up here, we kind of went down this way, brought it this way, and kind of went a little bit more straight down on this end. Now we're gonna start the process over, and we're gonna start it kind of more on this side, down, over, across, and so on and so forth. So for this part, I'm gonna do a little bit differently. I'm actually gonna create a tail to start so that you have like a little bit of a tail sticking out. So we're gonna, before attaching it to the tree, we're gonna do the fold again, where you fold it in half, cut it at an angle. I'm right-handed, I gotta do it this way. Okay, so you now have a dovetail. Again, I'm gonna give it about 6 inches or so. Don't get super hung up on the length. It's not that big a deal. If it goes too long, you can always cut it down. Like that looks a little too long. Go a little bit shorter. So maybe 4 inches. So about right here, from where we tied off, I'm gonna just kind of come over to this side. Okay, and so again, we're just gonna kind of pinch. I'm gonna go kind of backwards a little bit. Now we're gonna go this way, pinch, and attach. Looking good. All right, the next one we're gonna start right about here, this hole right here. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna create a tail and then do a few loops and then tie it off, cut it again. Typically I like to go 1, 2, 3, cut. Is what how I do it, 1, 2, 3, cut. But sometimes if you're in kind of a smaller section, sometimes it makes sense to only do 2. Like this one here, I could have gotten away with just doing 2 and then starting another one, but I just opted to go with 3. So, you know, you just kind of have to use your own eye and see what looks right to you. Here's what you can do when you have bald spots. You can add more ribbon if you want to. You could very easily just do one, like do another tail here, and then swoop, tail. Same thing, tail, swoop, tail. And it would be beautifully even, or you can just kind of leave the holes because we are gonna be adding a bunch of other things. So I'm gonna leave it as is because I do know I'm gonna be adding more stuff. But if you don't necessarily have a lot, or this just really bothers you, which I totally get, and that's how you do ribbon on a tree. So I'm gonna kind of break down for you how I'm gonna go about actually putting all this on the tree. It's systematic, just trust me. Good rule of thumb is to always start with your biggest pieces. So like this guy, pretty stinking big. These guys here, pretty stinking big. I'm not sure how many of these I'm actually gonna use, but we have them. And then we're gonna start with stems, also big pieces. So you're gonna see me kind of bouncing around with all these different items from biggest to smallest. I've got these big gaping open spots here from our ribbon. So let's start with a couple big pieces. I don't wanna go huge on the whole thing. It's a really skinny tree, but I just wanna have a couple key pieces that are just kind of like that. Okay. So I've got these really pretty sort of iridescent, shiny, sparkly, glittery snowflakes. We're gonna start with this guy first because I really, really like him. We're gonna kind of bend it just a little bit, bend that stem. So when I put it in, just like when we did our topper, I want him like just right up in all of this. So kind of a good rule of thumb as you're going along is you kind of wanna work kind of like in a 3, like kind of in triangles. So 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna want to put him like over here. Since I went 1, I'm gonna go 2, and then we'll put something down here, 3. Almost everything you buy that is ornament-esque is gonna have these little ties on it. If you want to use the tie, if it's easier for you, then by all means use the tie. I do not like using ties. If anything, I will swap it out for a ornament hook. Just so you know, if you did put ribbon on your tree, in this part of the process, you're going to mess it up. It's okay. I will fuss with it the whole way, even though I know it's pointless. Just know that it's pointless. At the end, you'll fluff everything and it'll be fine. Now I've got 2 more of my gingerbread poinsettias. So I wanna add them in as well. I'm thinking 1, 2, and then we're gonna cluster those together. But before I do that, I wanna add in this guy. Look how stinking cute this is. It's gonna be right here. That's where I want it. I was eyeing this from the beginning. I'm just gonna kind of tuck him in. So there's a couple ways you can go about putting something like this into your tree. This is not an ornament. It's really not designed to be in a tree, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be an ornament to go in your tree. Something like that, it's a wood sign. What you can do is take a chenille stem, fold it in half, and use a staple gun on the back and staple it on the back. And then you can attach it to your branches that way. This here, this little cutting board, it has a hole here, so I can pull the stem straight through and it's gonna hold it in place, and it's totally fine. I don't have to worry about it. But if it didn't have that, then that's what I would do. Circle. I talk more about how to do this in my video with how to do this tree topper, how to properly maneuver these poinsettia petals around. I like working from top to bottom. That's just me. And I like looking at the tree from the front and going left and right and back and forth. So this guy I'm gonna put right here. Stems that have like leaves or berries or flowers or whatever, you want to kind of wrap them together so that they're not like two separate pieces that you stuck like this. You want them to kind of blend, okay? So it looks like it's all one piece. These came from At Home, and they've got these nifty little clips on the back, which is kind of nice. Makes it really easy for attaching. See? They're like little barrettes clips. I'm just gonna attach it to that other stem. This white branch here is from the snowflake stem, is very predominant. I don't want to see the white stem. So I'm going to take one of the tree branches and just kind of wrap it up around it. And then I'll probably add in some sort of filler in there as well. But just kind of a nice little tip. If you have something showing that you don't want to show, again, probably wait towards the end because you always add more stuff. But if it's just like really out there in your face, then you can always wrap it with a stem to disguise it, which is super helpful. Got these lollipops from Hobby Lobby last year, and I've just kind of been holding on to them, waiting for something amazing to use them for, and this is it. So I'm gonna add lollipops as well. In fact, I think I'm gonna even throw in a couple of lollipops here at the top. Yes, because it's my party and I can do what I want. So now it's just kind of a matter of, you know, as you're putting in ornaments and these smaller pieces, like filling in places where you kind of have some holes, make sure you're still doing your left and right angles as you're going. I found the most amazing ball ornaments for this tree. Okay. Look at that. Look. Oh my God. When you're putting in ball ornaments, so there really is a right and a wrong way to hang ornaments on a tree. Typically, we just kind of find a branch and we're just like, boop. But like, that looks terrible. You wanna go more inside, set back, and then you can kind of position it to sit straight. Like a big, stupid mess. At this point, I'm just placing these wherever there is a hole. Just somewhere where I feel like, oh yeah, it would look good there. Not a lot of science behind it. On a regular Christmas tree, this is the opportunity you want to try and put things inside of the tree, so as you're looking through it, you can see ornaments as well deep inside the tree. I don't like it when my ornaments are fighting the tree. I don't like any piece on this tree to be competing for space. Everything should have its own space. If you have branches pushing on it, or another stem or another ornament pushing on it, then move that stuff out of the way. Make sure that everything has its own space. Small little ornaments. These are what kind of give your tree that very personalized touch. This is where you get to like really show your personality. We are now in the very last phase of building this tree, and that is berries. Every tree that I do, I always want berries. More berries the better. They're fantastic for filling, but also too, like, they're just so versatile. You can put them anywhere. There's so many versions, colors, sizes, all kinds of things. Just 2 more of these. We've been using these with our clusters. I've got a handful of these red and white ones that I'll use, and a handful of these where it's like the bright red and like a real dark red. So I'll use these around anywhere where there's just like a hole. One of the things you want to pay attention to for this part, you don't want to see the mechanics of the tree. You don't want to see the mechanics of your ornament hooks or of, you know, your stems, like the actual sticks. You just don't want to see any mechanics. So if you have a spot where you feel like, okay, I can see a little too much of what I don't want to see, that's where you want to throw in some berries. All right, I think she's done.